Good morning. It is a snow day. Actually, it's a cold day. It is so cold here in Michigan today that schools have canceled. And so I'm going to use today to get my first set of seeds started. I have lots of animal helpers wandering around. So I'm going to show you kind of my process. So last time I posted up here, I showed you how I kind of plan my garden beds and get my brain wrapped around the space that I have for the year. Now I'm going to use those to figure out what kind of seeds I want to start inside. Not necessarily the whole garden planning, but what kind of seeds I want to get. And that gives me an idea of what I need to do down here before spring actually shows up. And the first place I start with is finding out my calendar dates for my last frost. So there are a bunch of different ways that you can go ahead and figure out what your last frost is. The simplest way is just to go into a search engine and type last frost for and then your zip code. So that's what I do, and it brings up the Farmer's Almanac, and that's the one that I usually click on. There's a bunch of different ones. There's also one for me, my local state extension is Michigan State, and that's like an agricultural extension for your state. Most states, I think, I guess I don't know if all states have them, but a lot of them do. That's also a really good one because they're very familiar with your state, in particular your area. So I click on the Farmer's Almanac, and then I also look at the Michigan State extension. And what I found for me is that my last date is May 2nd this year. Now, you check this every year because it changes depending on how climate things are going, how your weather has been, whether it's been colder or warmer than average. Last year, I think it was May 13th was my last freeze date. May 13th, yep. And this year it says it's May 2nd. So it's a full 2 weeks difference, which is a big deal when you're starting seeds, 2 weeks plus or minus. Now, local area lore, folk wisdom says you don't plant your hot weather plants like tomatoes and peppers until Mother's Day, which also moves around. So take that with a grain of salt. However, things have been getting warmer, so I'm going to count May 2nd, but I'm also going to, in the back of my head, be like, it might be a little bit later. May 2nd seems a little bit early. I'm not 100% sure I go with that. The second thing you need to know about those dates is usually if you click on them and investigate, like it'll tell you May 2nd, last frost date. And then it's going to tell you, if you dig a little bit deeper, okay, you've got a 25% chance, a 50% chance, a 75% chance, and it'll give you 4 dates. So it'll tell you, 100% on this date, there will not be a frost. I'll give you a 75% chance on this date a week earlier, there won't be a frost. And then you can decide how risky you want to be. Did you put a lot of time and effort in these and you want to make sure you stick with 100%? Or are you willing to roll the dice and maybe you have to cover some things a couple nights? This May 2nd is my 50% chance on both the Farmer's Almanac and on Michigan State Extension. So I'm going to go with May 2nd. Again, just keep it in the back of my head. That seems a little early to me, and maybe be prepared to adjust my plan as it gets closer. So now I take that last date, which was May 2nd, and I start working backwards. 1 week back, 2 weeks back, and I go 12 weeks back. I go on my calendar, all right, 1 week back from May 2nd, April 25th, and I just go backwards, and I just stick them on a piece of paper, and then I'm going to transfer this up here to my board in my room. So there's my last frost date. I'm going to put the different things right down here. So I've got a visual for the whole season of what week I'm in and how much time I have left until planting time. And then I'm going to take my seed packets that I'm going to plant once I figure out what I want to plant. And I'm going to say, okay, this one says start indoors 8 to 10 weeks before last frost. Okay, because I know that onions take a little bit longer from me than that, I am going to say I'm going to start them earlier. I'm going to put them off to the side. And I'm going to go off to the side and just jot notes for myself about what I want to start. And then I'm going to copy those notes up there too. So I have a plan up here for what I want to start and when I want to start it for the season. Does that make sense? So what does that mean? How do I know what to put on that sheet, what seeds I'm going to use? This is where I go back to my papers. These are my drawings of my garden beds. where I've kind of marked in the things I kind of want to put in these. I'm going to look at them. I'm going to review all the different spots and say, okay, I think I can fit 8 tomatoes there. I think I can put 12 peppers across my garden. I want to have 3 trellises of peas. How many peas am I going to need? And I'm kind of going to write these notes just on a random piece of paper, just on a scrap paper. I'm not holding myself to this, but I'm going to go through these one at a time, write what I think I can fit in there, what I might like to fit in there, regardless of whether I'm starting it by seed or not. And then I'm going to put these down, pick up that piece of paper where I wrote all those notes, and I'm going to go through and say, okay, if I want to do this like this, what do I need for seeds? Okay. And then I'm going to maybe highlight those or circle them, put them on another piece of paper. And then I've got a list of what seeds I need to start inside to ideally do what I just did. Now, am I going to do it exactly that way? 100% not. Gardening needs to be flexible. You need to roll with things. Some of those seeds won't work. I might get out there and decide I don't like something, change my mind. That's been known to happen, a time or 5. So I'm going to plant extra things too. So after I have this list of my seeds, then I'm going to go through the seed packets I have. Oh, there's this flower I forgot about. I want to start a couple of those. And I'm going to add those to my list. Anything that I need to have that I'm really, really like, sweet banana peppers. My family loves sweet banana peppers. I grow them in the garden every year. If I didn't have them, they would be sad. So I've got marked down that I'm going to have 6 sweet banana pepper plant. 6 sweet banana pepper plants. I'm going to start maybe 8 or 10 seeds. I can always give away extras or pop a couple extras in somewhere. I can't pull them out of thin air if I don't have enough. So that's how I'm going to get my seed idea going. So I'm going to do that, and I will show you my board when I'm done. Okay, in this video, it has been a blip of a second. And in my real life, I just lost 2 hours going down a giant wormhole of seeds, but I made a lot of progress. Let me show you how this all looks now that I've kind of come out the other side. So I started making the notes from my garden pictures. I sat down and made some notes of things I wanted to hunt some seeds down, kind of figure out what kind. I decided what varieties of peppers I wanted to do, kind of to figure out how many plants of each, how many tomatoes I'm going to do. And then I put them on my chart. So here was my chart. These are my weeks 1 through 12 before my last frost date of May 2nd. And I stuck things on here. So these things are things I need to start earlier. Eucalyptus, rosemary, celery, lavender, and onions. Those all take a little bit longer. Stevia is a little bit longer of an herb. I'm going to try that this year. I've never grown it. My peppers, I like to start about mid-February. This has got them on the 21st. Listen, I may follow this. I may not. I'm going to try growing a tray of snapdragons this year. I usually direct seed them and they work just fine. But I think I get more blooms this year if I started them inside. I'm going to try some snapdragons. Week 8 is a big week. A lot of things start 6 to 8 weeks before. So I kind of divided them up. I did some herbs and some flowers. And the 8th week, the 6th week, I went ahead and I'm going to do my tomatoes. I always start my tomatoes too early and end up having to take care of ginormous tomato plants in my house. Always. Every year. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not starting tomatoes until March 21st, maybe the 14th. Check me, fact check me. Wait and see when I do it, because always I cheat. Pincushion flowers, my basils I start here. I don't like my basils getting too big too early in the house either. And then all my cool season crops that I'm going to put outside, I like to start them and give them a couple weeks. Those can start going out usually over here. I just like to get them started and then I harden them off. Week 4, I'm going to start asters, cosmos, and calendula just to give them a little bit of a month head start outside. You can direct sow all of those. And then 2 weeks before, I'm going to try and do head lettuce. I want to make some of those little baby heads of lettuce for Ava, and I want to get those started in the house before I transplant them out, but they grow fast. And then I'm going to put sunflowers in tubes. Sunflowers I always direct sow. They don't like to be transplanted. However, they keep getting eaten at the stem. Same thing with cucumbers. Actually, I'm going to put cucumbers in here. The roly-poly bugs and things keep eating them at the stems, so I'm going to grow them in toilet paper roll tubes this year. So you just take the tube, pack it full of dirt, grow it in there, and then you just plant the whole thing. The bottom is open and it keeps all the animals away from the stems and lets them get a little bit bigger so they can't be so easily taken out. I'm gonna try that this year. We'll see. So this is kind of my thing. So I transferred that up to my wall up here. Oops, let's back up. See, now if you back up, you can't see. But on the top it says last frost date. There's 1 to 5 weeks out what I'm gonna plant. 6 to 9 weeks out what I gotta plant. Week 10 and beyond what I'm gonna plant. That's kind of my quick go-to. And then here's the part that took me a long time. I went through and grabbed all the seeds. So these are all the seeds of all the varieties that I'm going to grow in my house. These are plants that are going to be grown in the house. That looks like an awful lot more than that, doesn't it? It just does. I don't know how to, it's just a problem. Those are my seeds. These are all the seeds I'm gonna direct sow. I'm gonna direct sow all my zinnias this year. I think they'll be healthier. There's a lot of things in there. I picked all my bean varieties. I figured out which kind I'm gonna do. My peas are all in there. Oh, there's so much things in here. Watermelon, squashes, I grabbed all those. Melons, zinnias, nasturtium, runner beans, beets, radishes, anything I'm gonna direct sow outside, I put in this container. So these are the varieties I'm doing. I'm not opening up my dresser one more time. These are the varieties I'm gonna direct sow, or I'm gonna seed in the house in order of my chart. So now I'm ready, right? So the first thing that's getting planted, onions. We'll do that next. All right, guys. Good luck with your organization. Don't go down a black hole, or do, but just plan that time accordingly. Black holes can be fun. All right, I'll see you soon.